Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our WRLA coverage of. Welcome to the. Hold on, let's do that again, actually. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our live coverage of our first doubleheader since February, starting off with tonight's WRLA Menard's Truck Series festivities at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Before we begin tonight's coverage, we have to remind everybody as to why this is a doubleheader. All comes from the wake of the tragic and the very sudden news of the passing of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, whether if you loved him or hated him, you can't deny the raw generational talent that this man wielded for the last 21 years in the NASCAR Cup Series. The records that he had set all throughout NASCAR are just some of the most pretty much unbelievable records in my mind that I don't really think are ever going to be broken. This man has 63 NASCAR Cup Series wins, 102 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series wins, and 69 Craftsman Truck Series wins, the 69th being his last ever NASCAR win altogether. This man has accomplished a lot throughout his NASCAR career. 2009 O'Reilly Auto Parts champion, two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, and there's no doubt that this driver, husband, brother, father, is going to be missed throughout the entire racing community altogether, on and off the track. Tonight, we rename this race into the Rowdy Nation 200. 100 laps of exciting racing. Kyle Busch, just like anybody else, would want the show to go on. And in his honor, we will do just that here tonight. Starting off with WRLA Menard's Truck Series Racing from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Enjoy the action. And Kyle, this one is for you. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where tonight it is race number 5 of the WRLA Menard's Truck Series. It is the Rowdy Nation 200. 100 laps of exciting racing that we're about to witness here for the Truck Series. And in the wake of everything that is happening throughout the NASCAR world and throughout racing altogether, we race in the memory of Kyle Busch, whom unfortunately is no longer with us here. Man, I don't even know how else to really sum it up. It feels like this doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real. All those emotions that I wound up getting just a little over 24 hours ago, and the emotions that I felt all the way up until this point are just flooding right back in. And ladies and gentlemen, we are feeling this just as much as you are, but we hope that tonight and throughout this weekend, of WRLA festivities, and as well as other racing events that are taking place throughout the weekend in the honor community, such as the Freedom 100 that just happened not too long ago, and even the Indianapolis 250, the Little 250, which is also going to be taking place tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, which the NOS Energy Cup Series will be postponed to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to basically not to obviously have the race during the Little 250, but nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, such a very, very somber weekend, not just for racing, but also WRLA festivities altogether. Hence, this race, which was originally supposed to be last night, has been moved to tonight, alongside the Xfinity Series, which we will see them later on tonight after this race. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at your point standings. Coming into this one, it is Emmanuel Hartnett who comes into this as the points leader, just barely by 5 points over Michael Davis, who won at Martinsville. Wayne Lopez, he is 20 points back from the points leader with 109. Tyler Ferris with 108 to his name. Haley Tullis, who won at Minnesota, tied with Ferris, actually. She would be breaking the tie due to those Google Sheet physics. It should be that way, but obviously Google Sheets says otherwise. Then you have David Byers in 6th with 100 points, and then you get down to the double digits with Michael DeFeo with 99, Shauna Martin with 98, Bruno Diacomo with 97, and then Carter Friesen rounding out your top 10 with 94 points to his name. There's a look at the rest of your point standings coming into this one. Last time out, the Martinsville Speedway back in April. Obviously, that race was very, very chaotic at the beginning, and then it calmed down towards the end, with maybe a caution or two sprinkled in at the end of the event. That, of course, as I mentioned, saw Michael Davis finally get his first win in the Truck Series. But although he is second in the point standings, we take a look all the way down to the bottom. You see Chase McClure down there, along with Max Anderson, Elijah Gordon with 44 points to his name with McClure. Liam Davis with 52, tied with Jesse Turner, I do believe. But it's just an unbelievable way to come back to Menard's Truck Series racing for our 5th time of the year, man. Towards the tail end of the month, and it's still a very big month, still a very important month at that. Obviously, with everything that is happening, but as for the Menard's Truck Series, it's definitely going to be something. But let's go ahead and go over your starting lineup for the Rowdy Nation 200. Carson Miller starts on the pole position. Bradley Ream is going to line up alongside. You have Foster Henderson and Mercedes Davis. They make up the second row. Billy Kidd and Noah Shastow in row 3. Harley Higdon and David Byers. That is row number 4. Alex Richards, Haley Tullis. They complete your top 10. And then you have Max Anderson, Chase McClure, Michael DeFeo, Samet Oskin, Ronald House, Chris Reynolds, Tyler Ferris, Shauna Martin, Bruno Diacomo, and Jeffrey Holcomb. That is your top 20. Elijah Gordon, Joshua Cornish, a pair of EGI trucks in the 11th row. Of course, the boss himself starting in 21st, Cornish in 22nd. Sarah Taylor will be lining up just behind them. And then you have Carter Friesen, Liam Davis, Kelsey Higdon, Emmanuel Hartnett, our points leader, starting in the 27th position. He's going to have his work cut out for him here tonight. Eli Bright in the 28th position. And then you have Michael Davis, who won at Martinsville just a little over a month ago. Addison Jarrell completing your top 30. And then Russell Blaze, he celebrated a birthday yesterday. Of course, not the way that his day would have wanted his day to turn out, obviously, with the news of Kyle Busch yesterday. But Blaze did the best that he could, and hopefully he's able to get a good belated birthday present out of this one. Jesse Turner, Carson Green, Bryce Egan, and then our provisional starters, Wyatt Walker and Wayne Lopez. That is your 36 truck field for tonight here, ladies and gentlemen, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And my, oh my. It's definitely going to be a very weird race weekend, ladies and gentlemen, but we're definitely going to make the best out of it. And race in memory of Kyle Busch. 100 laps here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway to kick off our doubleheader. It's time to go trackside to get the command to fire these 36 engines to bring back the Menards Truck Series.
Drivers, start your engines!
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Engines are fired, pace truck is rolling off, and so are these 42 competitors. This will be the Truck Series' longest race of the season, 100 laps around the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Only lap-wise, maybe not so much time-wise. I think Martinsville may or may not be taking the cake when it comes to that one. But it could be the longest race of the year time-wise and lap-wise. It just depends on, well, maybe time-wise. It just depends on how this race goes down. But man, oh man, this is definitely not the way that we envisioned this weekend to turn out, but we're definitely going to do the best that we can to go racing here tonight. Carson Miller, Bradley Ream, they're on the front row. They're going to lead us down to the green flag as the field works their way through turn number 4. This time around, pace truck is going to be heading to pit road, and this will put the field into the hands of Carson Miller and Bradley Ream. They're going to lead the field to the green flag to get race number 5 of the WRLA Menards Truck Series underway from here in Charlotte. Already 3 wide as Mercedes Davis, I think, just went around the outside of Noah Shastow, so move her to the 3rd truck around the outside. Carson Miller comes off of turn number 4. He's clear of all challengers for the moment, and he's going to lead the first lap of action here tonight. He'll grab that bonus point away from Billy Kidd in the 44, already making his way down to the inside, and right behind him, that would be the 31. That's Harley Higdon down on the bottom side. Now Higdon down to the bottom. Actually, wait just a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait just a second. I don't think now this is a good thing that I'm catching this now, 3 laps in, much opposed to halfway. I'm just realizing there are some stragglers in the back, and I'm believing that those trucks do not have 100 ratings across the board. Let's go ahead and actually get that reassessed here. Actually, they have realistic ratings, so we're going to go ahead and fix that here, ladies and gentlemen. And again, do want to massively apologize for this. This is already kind of going down south in a hurry, but it's a good thing we're noticing it now, much opposed to... It's a good thing we're noticing it now instead of later. But hoping and praying that this time around we should be good to go. let's we're actually gonna make double 100% sure that we're gonna be good to go. Survey says I think we should be now. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and try that again. We do massively apologize for restarting this race. But again, it is a good thing that we noticed it at least 3 laps in as opposed to halfway or 3/4 of the way through. And it's a good thing we didn't get too far. I mean, regardless, it's a good thing that we didn't get too far. But hopefully the Xfinity race doesn't have that. We'll double check before we do it. But Pace Truck is going to be setting down the pit road. And let's try it again. Carson Miller, Bradley Ream, they're going to lead us down to the green flag to get race number 5 restarted from here at Charlotte. All 36 trucks look to be all together in a group, so we are good to go. Carson Miller breaks free from the rest of the field. Foster Henderson joins him in the second position in the ballpark Patty's machine. Miller is going to lead the first lap of action here tonight. He'll pick up that bonus point with Henderson in second, Kidd in third. And then in the fourth position, that's Harley Higdon rocking around the inside of Bradley Ream as they come off of turn number 2. And it's side by side for the 5th spot, Alex Richards and also the 88 of Bradley Ream. Ream and everybody on that outside starting to fade back quite a ways. And don't look now, 3 wide over here. That's Shauna Martin in the 76. I think they just got done with that 3 wide scenario. And here we go again up at the front of the field. Oh boy, almost 4 wide. They are going 4 wide down the back straightaway. That's the 41 of Ronald House. He tried to get to the inside of Michael DeFeo, who left that door just about wide open. But the good news is House did not accept the invitation, and we say green for now. But Byers now in the middle. All 3 of the Nissan Motorsports trucks are on top of each other here. House in the 41, Ferris in the 45, Byers in the 42. All 3 of these guys went against one another in the RCOM Pepsi Amateur Series, which you'll see those races resume. You'll see those reruns resume every Thursday morning. But in the meantime, everybody is now starting to get into a single file rhythm. Carson Miller continues to lead the way. He has led every lap since the drop of the green flag, side by side for second between Harley Higdon and Foster Henderson, with Alex Richards in tow as they head through turns 3 and 4. Higdon manages to get that second position away from Richards. Hold on, I gotta sneeze again. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. My sinuses were a little bit backed up this morning, so I think they're just finally starting to open up. Field starts to come off of turn number 4. Everybody, for the most part, is stayed pretty clean as of right now. I mean, very early in the going. Still got 94 laps of racing to go. There's still a long way to go for these truckers. And they are 3 wide back over here. That's Max Anderson in the 38 to the inside of House and Ream. Ream gets a great run to get around the 41 and still has the 38 left to work with. They come off of 4. Double file. Ream is going to get that 6th position, or at least retain it over Anderson as they head through turn 1 yet again. As of right now, everybody just keeping it clean and green. It's now 7 laps complete, coming to 8 now. Side by side for second. Kid to the inside of Richards. Richards is going to let him have it. And oh boy, a little bit of contact there between Richards and Henderson. I think Richards tried to clear down in front of the 75. But I think they both managed to catch themselves and we stay green. Take a look further in the back, 3 wide. Michael DeFeo rocketing around the outside. With Byers in the middle, Chisau on the bottom. And now Foster Henderson gets put in the middle, 3 wide. A little bit further up at the front of the field, and they are really going at it. Up at like a little bit closer to the front of this pack. Like, look at this huge hornet's nest that's now being led by Sam and Oskin, who's broken into the top 5 for the first time here tonight. About 10 laps complete. House in 6th, Ferris 7th, Chase McClure putting together a really good run right now. He's in 8th, but definitely will improve his position coming to the line this time by. And there's our points leader, Emmanuel Hartnett. And boy, it would mean more. It would mean so much more now than ever to see the 7 truck go to victory lane here tonight. This truck, man, is just, this is special. This is a, it would mean a lot more now than ever to see this truck go to victory lane. But right now, Hartnett in the early going, currently running in the 8th position. Following in the tire tracks of the 98 of Chase McClure as they come off of 2. But for the most part, this field has now worked themselves back into a little bit more of a single file / double file sort of pack. Just a little bit more strung out than what we saw at the drop of the green flag. And so far, things are, I mean, I'm still pretty shocked that we're clean and green to start things off. About 13 laps complete. And there is the in the 07, the 007, I almost called it. That's Russell Blaze. He'll be in Texas World tomorrow night. But here for tonight, he is racing in this event. This was going to be his birthday race. But as of right now, currently running in the 16th position, this would still be a very big birthday present if he's able to win this one. And man, it would mean a lot more now than ever if this truck went to victory lane as well. If Blaze went to victory lane, same goes for Emmanuel Hartnett. But we all know there can only be one winner in this event. And lead change. Alex Richards goes to the point. We obviously missed the battle for the lead, and Billy Kidd jumps up to 2nd. Carson Miller now falls back to 3rd. The fight for 4th is on with the 90, or with the 41 of Ronald House now taking over that 4th position. So that kicks the 38 of Max Anderson back to 5th. Carson Miller trying to make a run down to the inside to try to retake that 2nd position as they come off of 4. This is all allowing Alex Richards to pull away just a little bit more. Dead heat at the stripe between the 71 and the 44. And I think Chase McClure, I don't know if I just saw that correctly, but he just went really wide going through turns 1 and 2, almost shot up against the outside wall, but quickly recovers. He's going to take it right back downstairs. And looks like it's going to be Harley Higdon making their way through turn number 4 now. And how about this? Hartnett now up to 6th. Now trying to go for that 5th spot on Max Anderson as they head through turn 2. Tyler Ferris right there in the tire tracks of the number 7. Russell Blaze are also making some moves back there as he works to the inside of Noah Shestow. This is the fight for 12th. Man, these Beacon Academy Racing trucks are just absolutely oh so strong in the early going. Almost a 5th of the way through this race. Of course, Carson Miller led the opening laps. He's up to 2nd. And might be gunning for the lead once more as they head down the back straightaway. Gonna be looking low going into turn 3. And I think he's gonna have it here coming off of turn number 4. He edges ahead as they hit the quad oval. And, ooh, that was actually pretty close between the two of them, but give it to Richards across the stripe. Now, Carson Miller is going to have the race lead. Miller goes right back to where he started the night on the pole position. Kidd and Richards now going at it for 2nd. And here comes Emmanuel Hartnett. This is the fight for the 4th spot. And it looks like Hartnett is going to win that battle pretty easily. He moves up to 4th. House back to 5th. Ferris in 6th. McClure 7th. Then in 8th is Max Anderson. Foster Henderson in 9th. And Eli Bright. Currently, he's scored inside of the top 10, but he just got passed by the 31 of Harley Higdon. So move him back to 11th. Russell Blaze in that 07 is going to be hunting down Eli Bright. They come off of turn 4 and back to the start-finish line. 21 laps complete. You know, I originally was going to incorporate the silent laps, and I obviously have not been doing a very good job at that one. So the next two silent laps that we will have are laps 51 and 44. The next 2 silent laps will be laps 51 and 44. Caution on the racetrack for the first time. It falls on lap 23. It is Carson Miller that has led him back to the caution flag. Or at least they're racing back to the line. I think everybody else might have already crossed. Everybody else behind them probably already led. Yeah, but I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But there you see Carter Friesen. Haley Tolis, top 5 in the point standings, and she is out of it. Haley Tolis is out of the race. And I believe Carter Friesen, he's still on the racetrack right now, but I don't know if he's going to be able to continue on. But the guy that led him back to the caution flag, that would be the 44 Billy Kidd. So I believe what might have happened is that half of the field that was behind the start-finish line, the moment that the caution came out, they had to slow down because they technically took the caution. Everybody else that already crossed the start-finish line at the moment of the caution came out, they were racing back. So these drivers that were already ahead technically didn't take the caution flag. But in the meantime, pit stops are now underway with Billy Kidd as the leader, Miller 2nd, Hartnett 3rd, Richards 4th, and Ferris completing your top 5. As now we're getting ready to have our first round of pit stops under caution. Looks like everybody might be going for those 4 tires. And indeed, that is the case. Left sides go up for Billy Kidd. And I believe he's going to be the first one to come out onto pit road. He just made contact, I believe, with Mercedes Davis, but it's actually going to be Carson Miller, our pole sitter, winning the race off of pit road. Billy Kidd will come out 2nd, Hartnett 3rd, Richards 4th, House 5th, Eli Bright 6th, Cornish 7th, Higdon 8th, Blaze comes out 9th, and Max Anderson rounds out your top 10. Let's go back and take a look at what happened to both Haley Tullis and also Carter Friesen that brought out our first caution of the night. Friesen is still on the racetrack, and oh my goodness gracious, this is actually kind of an interesting dilemma that just broke out here. But show you exactly what happened. This is an incident between the 11 of Elijah Gordon and the 81 of Haley Tullis. You see Gordon, he's sliding up the racetrack, kind of crowding the 81 of Tullis, and Tullis, I believe, might have also gotten back on the gas. Actually, no, look at the 88. Bradley Ream gets into the left rear quarter panel of the 81. Sends her down to the 11 of Gordon, and up into the wall they both go. Of course, Gordon, pretty much at this rate, turned 90 degrees towards the outside wall. And look at this 81 ricochet back into the path of Carter Friesen, and that sends that 81 over on her lid. So what a wild and very, very hellacious ride here for Haley Tullis. She took a hellacious hit in the driver's side door. And she's going to come back to rest, thankfully, on all four wheels on the turf on the front straightaway. What a wild ride, though, for Haley Tullis. Let's have a look at that again. This time in real speed. And you might have noticed it too, but I believe Tullis also just hit the deck lid of the 11 truck as she went over. That is just an absolutely unbelievable ride here for Haley Tullis. And unfortunately, her night is going to be ending early. Just past 1/5 of the way through the Rowdy Nation 200 from here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That unfortunately had to see a restart just in general to the race. Of course, with 4 trucks not having the 100 ratings. But Carson Miller is currently your race leader. And as you can see right there, Haley Tullis is the only retiree to this event, and now Carter Friesen has just added his name to the list. So Carter Friesen and Haley Tullis are both done for the night here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 1/4 of the way through the Rowdy Nation 200. It is Carson Miller leading the way. In second is Billy Kidd, Emmanuel Hartnett third, Alex Richardson fourth. Ronald House rounds out your top 5, and then in 6th is Eli Bright. 7th is actually Harley Higdon. 8th is Joshua Cornish. 9th is Russell Blaze, and Max Anderson rounds out your top 10 with now 25.5 laps complete here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Of course, the Xfinity and NOS Energy Cup Series will be here next weekend, while the Truck Series heads out to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the annual Indiana Bash. Of course, it's going to be taking place much later in the year, as opposed to in previous years where we basically ran this event during Memorial Day weekend, but had a little bit of a scheduling error. But next year, we'll definitely get that corrected. And of course, for the NOS Energy Cup Series next weekend here at Charlotte, it will be their last double points paying race for the month of May. It's actually unbelievable of how fast this month has gone. But we're going to be closing it out here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway next weekend with the Xfinity Series and the NOS Energy Cup Series for their Coca-Cola 600, for the Cup side that is. And obviously for the Xfinity Series, they'll have their longest race of the year, 120 laps Well, the Cup Series has their 200, and this year's Coca-Cola 600 will be held on time, unlike what we saw last year, because that race was initially supposed to be run on its scheduled date of May 24th, but unfortunately, there were some outside deals that wound up happening behind the scenes that saw that race get postponed all the way to the back end of last season. And that was a non-points race from that point on, because points were already locked up by the time we wrapped up with the Homestead Miami Speedway. But this year it is different. Field behind the Chevy Silverado pace truck as they work their way into turn 4 now. It will be a single file restart. 34 trucks still left on the racetrack. Again, your only two retirees are Haley Tullis and Carter Friesen. As the field works their way into the restart zone, green flag back in the air. Carson Miller brings him down. Actually gets himself a really good jump on the restart. He manages to pull away by 3 truck lengths, a little over 4/10 of a second, over the 44 of Billy Kidd. He's got a whole mirror full of Emmanuel Hartnett. Hartnett's got to also worry about Alex Richards. Not really for much longer now, because here comes Emmanuel Hartnett down to the inside. Gets a little bit loose coming off of going into turn 3. Has to at least lift out of the throttle a little bit. This is going to allow the 44 of Kidd to hang alongside the 7. But he's going to have to give it up here going through turn 1. Give it to the 7 of Emmanuel Hartnett. So you have 2 Hendrick Cars trucks, HendrickCars.com trucks finishing, or at least running 1-2 right now. You would hope that they would finish 1-2. At least that's what they're hoping for. But now we're starting to see that 3 wide kick back into full gear. At least we saw it momentarily, but now they have shuffled it back down to double file. And as soon as I say that, Chase McClure makes it 3 abreast underneath of Tyler Ferris. Bright backs out of that one. Cornish is now in the middle of a 3 wide situation. So Bright basically backed out of one 3 wide scenario, put himself in another one. Richards now on the outside, 3 wide. Almost 4 wide there. Thank God we didn't see 4 wide. Thank God we did not see 4 wide down the front straightaway. But Richards found himself almost up against the wall, as now he is contesting to the inside, or at least to the outside of Chase McClure. 3 wide for 3rd up here. Here comes Billy Kidd to the inside of Anderson and House. Anderson is going to be able to thread the needle up to 3rd. Still has got to worry about that 44 down to his inside coming off of turn 2. McClure is going to make it 3 wide. He's going to keep it 3 wide for that 3rd position, but it doesn't have the run there. He's going to tuck back in behind the 44. They're still almost 3 abreast. I thought they were going to stay 3 abreast back there. But that is not the case. Thank God that's not the case as of right now. They have shuffled it back down to double file. Now here comes the 99. He was just inside of the top 10, but now just outside of it, looking to try to get back in. That's Carson Green in the 99 machine. Talking about him for the first time here tonight. Already moving his way up into the top 10. Working his way down to the inside of Tyler Ferris. Looks to be for the 10th position, and move that 99 of Green into 10th spot. The Hendrick Cars truck still running 1-2, with Hartnett all over the back bumper of his teammate of Carson Miller. A little bit further back, they're back to a single file formation. Until you get back over here, that's Sarah Taylor almost taking it way wide to the outside, or at least to the inside of Russell Blaze, who now falls way back. He was up as high as 9th position, and since the restart, he's fallen all the way back to 23rd. Still in the midst of a 3-wide situation. Now Michael DeFeo and Bradley Ream are to his inside. And now you also have Wyatt Walker in the 56. He's back here. We'll see him here at Texas World tomorrow night. And both Blaze and Wyatt Walker will be joining me in the booth at Texas World at the conclusion of this race. So after this one, don't go away, because we'll be getting stuff prepared and ready to go for Texas World for the WRLA Xfinity Series. And if you are in the WRLA Discord, we will be letting you know once that race is going live and ready. Lead change. We saw a 100cars.com truck lead the way for a good portion of the event. Now it's time for another one to lead. That's Emmanuel Hartnett, who's gone out in front. Remember, he has a 5-point advantage over Michael Davis, who won at Martinsville just a few weeks ago. As Hartnett leads, where is the 18, you ask? All the way back in 27th. Man, Miller almost took it downstairs on Kidd and Hartnett at the same time to make it 3 wide for the lead, but unfortunately, Hartnett, that truck is just too strong. That 7 truck is just really, really strong right now. As now Hartnett's starting to pull away, probably by at least a quarter of a second now with 38 laps complete. Pretty damn close to that. 3 wide here. That's Carson Green to the inside of Carson Miller. The Carson and Carson show inside of the top 5. One trying to knock the other out. Advantage, give it to Green as they come off of turn number 4. And now Shauna Martin is going to make it 3 wide. She's been making a few starts here and there in the Xfinity Series, and now she's getting her hands back dirty in the Menard's Truck Series now that they're back for a couple of weeks. Still 3 wide here. Ooh, Miller got a little bit loose. He had to lift up out of the gas, and it keeps him at 3 wide. But now he's going to be able to get himself out of that situation. And a little bit further up front, McClure and Anderson are battling it out here for that second spot. They were side by side for a couple of laps, but now Max Anderson is going to move up into second. That puts Chase McClure back to third. 3 wide here. Here comes Jesse Turner in the 2 to the inside. It's the first time that we're talking about Jesse Turner tonight, as now he gets put into the 9th position, or at least was scored there for at least 1 second, but he should be able to get inside of the top 10 with this move right here. Ducks to the inside of the 52 of Alex Richards. 3 wide. Billy Kidd, it looked like he was going to be clear for a moment, but man, that 2 truck is just absolutely strong right now. Move Jesse Turner up inside of the top 10, back into that 9th position. Jesse Turner could potentially be a dark horse in his own right. A former NOS Energy Cup Series driver. He raced in the Cup Series back in 2020. Didn't see a whole lot of success in that division, but now here he is in the Truck Series, and here in this event, he's actually doing a very fantastic job. Now up to 9th. Richards now trying to get back to the 2 and try to move back around that number 2 machine of Jesse Turner, rather, coming off of turn number 2. Lots of 2s being mentioned here. Shauna Martin has been absolutely going to work on this number 98 for that 3rd position, coming off of 4. Might have him here. That's going to be the case. Move Shauna Martin up into the 3rd position as Max Anderson is trying to hunt down Emmanuel Hartnett for this race lead. Coming off of turn number 2. Hartnett pulling the field behind him. And now Max Anderson, he wants the lead. He goes to the inside. And he's going to try to put that 38 out front as they're side by side down the front straightaway. Give this lap to Emmanuel Hartnett. Not by much, though. 5 laps away from the halfway mark in the Rowdy Nation 200. For those that are just now tuning in, we are working our way to our 2 silent laps that we will be having. Lap 51 and lap 54. We've only had 1 caution that came out on lap 23 that saw Elijah Gordon, Haley Tullis, and Carter Friesen crash coming off of turn number 4, heading down the front straightaway. Tullis went for a massive tumble, and unfortunately, she has taken her truck behind the wall, as has the 13 of Carter Friesen. So far, those are our only 2 retirees, but other than that, we have been clean and green flag racing ever since the restart back on lap 26. Thought we were going to see another crash here between DeFeo and Harley Higdon. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and we're still green. Max Anderson now leading the way. We also have Miller, or McClure rather, and Shauna Martin fighting it out. Carson Miller, speaking of the Miller, Carson Miller now up into the 4th spot. Maybe trying to see if he can take it 3 wide underneath of both McClure and Shauna Martin. That hole was opened, and there it is. 3 wide for second. Max Anderson's got to be loving everything that he sees in that rear view mirror as he starts to pull away from that 3 wide situation that Carson Miller just put McClure and Shauna Martin in, and they're still 3 wide as Hartnett is following in the tire tracks of the 71. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up to that point as we're going to be halfway through this event next time by. It'll be 50 down, 50 to go. But this lap, this is one of the numbers that Kyle Busch drove in the Truck Series, and this is one of the numbers that he drove to many, many wins. We begin our first of 2 silent laps right now here on lap 51. The 51 has been very synonymous with Kyle Busch in the Truck Series. Obviously, as I mentioned, that he drove the number 51 to many, many victories, as well as the 18 and several other numbers on top of that. But 51 was one of those numbers that stood out above all. And in real life, that was the number that I actually saw Kyle Busch race when he came to the Kalamazoo Speedway, when he raced in the ARCA CRA division. That was well before the Cars Tour. And then raced in the main event, the Outlaw Super Late Model main event, Kalamazoo Clash, which was kind of like the All-Star race at that. But this next lap coming up, ladies and gentlemen, this is the number that Kyle Busch drove when he started his own team in the then Nationwide Series. And this is also the number that he drove to his 100th win in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, lap 54 now. Kyle Busch, when he had the 54 in the O'Reilly Series, whether it's been for his own team or for Joe Gibbs Racing, when you saw that 54 on the entry list, you knew they were going to be bad, bad fast. And in most cases, you knew that you would have to settle for second. Especially on that day at the Nashville Superspeedway when he drove the number 54 to his 100th then Xfinity Series win. Race lead is on. Challenge for the race lead is on. Here comes Carson Miller to the inside of Max Anderson. Anderson pulls ahead down the back straightaway, heading into the third corner. He's trying to use that outside line to his advantage. But it's going to be Carson Miller pulling back down to the inside. Give that lap to Anderson. But heading back into turn one. Looks like Carson Miller's going to hang even. And he's going to hang even with that 38 machine. But Anderson using that run down the back straightaway to hang tough around the outside. But coming through turn number 4 now. Man, they're still double file. Look at this. They're still side by side. And just behind them, Emmanuel Hartnett's going to get to the inside of Eli Price. So this is 2 side-by-side battles that we're witnessing. My goodness gracious, spectacular racing that we're seeing for the Truck Series here at Charlotte. Heading back through turn number 4, looks like Max Anderson is going to have to give way, and Carson Miller is going to go right back to the point with 58 laps complete. And if you are a fan of Wyatt Walker and Walker Family Motorsports and you're wondering just exactly where that 56 is running as of right now, well, he's finally starting to make some strides. He's already up to the 22nd position after starting in the caboose. So that number 56 in the long run is starting to come to life. Shauna Martin and several other trucks, they are making the trip down the pit road. So we're finally going to see some green flag pit stops break out with 59 laps complete. Higdon, Chastow, and Shauna Martin are all on pit road. Mercedes Davis in the 91 is now starting to make her way into the pits. And now let's see who else is going to be making that trip down to pit road. Jesse Turner makes the move. Oh boy. Chris Reynolds in that 26. Oh, I would have to believe he might get hit with a speeding penalty because he came onto the pits. We came onto the pit road really hot. So chances are we might see Chris Reynolds get a speeding penalty. Carson Miller's going to stay out. Max Anderson, Emmanuel Hartnett, Ream, Ferris, Billy Kidd, and Wyatt Walker all make the move down into the pits, as does Michael Davis and also the 34 of Bryce Egan. Foster Henderson is now into the pits. I would have to believe that Carson Miller is going to be making that turn down to pit road. He will, along with the 98. And looks like that is the rest of the field that is electing to come on down to pit road to get 4 tires, 4 fresh tires, and a tank of fuel. At this point, they should be good to go to the finish of this race. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. My nose is just absolutely running here tonight, along with stuffed up. So far, Carson Miller still being scored as the leader. I wonder if he's going to be able to keep the lead here. Shauna Martin did just go by. Max Anderson and several others are also passing that 71 as well. Oh, and I had to sneeze. So indeed, to confirm, Shauna Martin is officially your new race leader, ladies and gentlemen. Then in second is the 2 of Jesse Turner. This top 10, it has become a whole new ball game inside of the top 10. Let's go ahead and let's actually read it out for you, ladies and gentlemen. Your race leader is Shauna Martin. Running in second is Jesse Turner. Chris Reynolds now moves up into third. Surprisingly, he does not have a pit road speeding penalty, so he is good to go in that third position. Noah Chistow is in fourth. Kelsey Higdon rounds out your top 5. Max Anderson currently running in the 6th position. Sarah Taylor in 7th. Running in 8th is the number 7 of Emmanuel Hartnett. In 9th is Ronald House. And David Byers rounds out your top 10. This is with now 35 laps to go in the Rowdy Nation 200. They're also slowly catching up to the 91 of Mercedes Davis. We'll see her at Texas World tomorrow. And again, for those Wyatt Walker fans wondering where Wyatt is, currently running 17th right now. So doing a pretty nice job. Of course, historically, that 56 is not really fared all that well in these Menard Truck Series races, no matter which one Wyatt gets entered in. The 56 hasn't always been the strongest truck, but Wyatt right now doing a very nice job, running comfortably in that 17th position. He might go after Billy Kidd for this 15th spot here momentarily. And if you're wondering exactly where Russell Blaze is running, if you are a Death Rider Racing fan, as we just missed the fight for the lead, Jesse Turner now goes out front. But if you are a Death Rider Racing fan, if you are a Russell Blaze fan, bad news right now, running in the 27th position. Closing in on the 30 lap to go mark here in this race. But Jesse Turner in the 2 is out front. Martin back in second. Then Chistow, Higdon, and Reynolds. That's your top 5. All 5 trucks single file as they catch up to the 91 of Mercedes Davis. See exactly what the field's going to do with her. Turner goes low. But Noah Chistow is going to get down to the inside of the 76 before she has any sort of opportunity to get around the 91. And I think Chistow tried to use that 91 as a pick to trap that 76 on the outside, and it looks like it's going to work out to his benefit as they come off of turn number 2 and put that 30 machine of Chistow up into the 2nd spot. Higdon now up to 3rd, Reynolds 4th. Shauna Martin's going to tuck back in 5th. Here comes the 26 down to the inside to move Chris Reynolds now up into P3. The gap right now between 5th and 6th is just about 1.9 seconds between Shauna Martin and Max Anderson. And I'm wondering just exactly what that gap is going to look like now as they cross the stripe. 0.8. Now looks like it's 0.8 of a second. Do apologize there. Now the sneeze finally decided to kick in. Goodness gracious. But Turner continuing to lead. Chastow second. Reynolds third. Martin fourth. Kelsey Higdon now getting absolutely held up by Mercedes Davis. And she just lost 4/10 or at least 6/10 on currently fourth place Shauna Martin. But now that 15 finally breaks free from the 91. They come off of turn number 4. And Turner still leading. Surprisingly enough. We're going to keep our eyes on this right here. At least for just a few more seconds. And then we're going to go back through the field and see what the field looks like. At least from the racing aspect of things. But from the looks of things, as far as up front is concerned, Turner still leading the charge. Now coming up on, it looks like the 19 of Liam Davis. Chris Reynolds now finally making a run to the inside. This is going to be the battle for the second position. Give that over to the 26 of Chris Reynolds, coming to 24 laps to go. Shauna Martin almost took it 3 wide underneath of both Reynolds and Chastow. But this is all allowing Jesse Turner to pull away by just a little bit more. Now over new second place runner Shauna Martin. Oh, Davis. I thought for a moment that he was going to block the 2 of Turner there. But it looks like Turner is going to be able to lift a little bit. So that way there's a little bit of distance between the 19 and the 2. And Turner finally rockets around Liam Davis down the front straightaway. But that second group is starting to close in on the front 5 as they're all racing it out. And trying to also get by that 19 of Liam Davis. This has allowed Kelsey Higdon to stay within the wake of the draft of the 26 of Reynolds. All also in the process allowing Max Anderson, Ronald House, Hartnett, and several others to pull back up into the picture. Top 5 now finally get by the 19 of Liam Davis, and they're also trying to work around the 91 of Mercedes Davis. So not a good night for the Davis family racing team if you're either Liam or Mercedes Davis. If you're Michael Davis, as of right now, he's currently running in the 18th position, or 22nd rather, but he is the highest running Davis family racing car here tonight. The 81 of Haley Tullis, of course, 35th in the garage area. 20 laps of racing to go in the Rowdy Nation 200 from here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Our 5th race of the season for the 2026 WRLA Menards Truck Series. Although this race, on YouTube, the footage from this race and then the Xfinity race will both be separate. But if you're watching live on Twitch, stick with us because we'll be getting stuff ready to go for the WRLA Xfinity Series at the Texas World Speedway right after this event. And then tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll see the main event at the Texas World Speedway, the WRLA NOS Energy Cup Series for their 10th race of the year. But as far as tonight, if you're watching live on Twitch, stand by for WRLA Xfinity Series action right after this race. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the footage from the Xfinity Series race after NOS Energy Cup qualifying from the Texas World Speedway. That should be right around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 4:30, give or take. Max Anderson, Emmanuel Hartnett. Now looking to get by the 15 of Kelsey Higdon. They're going to successfully do that as they work together nose to tail. Shauna Martin now knows it's time to go. She's getting to the inside of the 26 of Chris Reynolds as they hit the back straightaway. That's going to be the battle for second. Noah Shastel is going to make it 3 wide as they come up on Elijah Gordon in the 11 machine. And oh boy, getting a little bit loose there. Gordon. That got pretty close there. Gordon make the turn to pit road. So I wonder, I'm definitely thinking he's on a much different pit sequence compared to everybody else, because that was actually kind of interesting of how he decided to make his way down to pit road in front of every single other driver. But my oh my, that was actually a very close call. Very close call for the field, especially Elijah Gordon. Very lucky that he got out of the way and made the trip to pit road. But in doing that, oh, crash on the back straightaway. Bounce around and somehow keeps it straight, but that will bring out a caution. That's going to bring out a caution. And my, oh my, the complexion of this race has just changed dramatically. The number 2 of Jesse Turner leads them back to the caution flag. You saw it just a little bit further in the background, but the 41 of Ronald House had some contact from somebody. I'm not sure exactly who it would have been, but that saw the 41 get turned 90 degrees in front of a huge wad of trucks, and somehow they kept it all straight, but it was not enough to not warrant a caution flag. If anyone just noticed, while these trucks were on the back straightaway, Mercedes Davis was giving her boyfriend just a little bit of a love tap down the back straightaway. Remember, these two, the 56 and the 91, they are not just competitors on the racetrack, whether it be here in the Truck Series or in the NOS Energy Cup Series on a race-to-race basis, but they are also a couple as well. So you can definitely imagine and just definitely acknowledge the shenanigans between these two. But the race off of pit road is going to be on here shortly, as these drivers are going to take 4 tires. Jesse Turner is going to win the race off of pit road. Chris Reynolds comes out second. Emmanuel Hartnett comes out third. Bright fourth. Shauna Martin fifth. Max Anderson will come out sixth. Sarah Taylor will come out 7th. Carson Miller will be 8th. Actually, Carson Miller actually will be 7th, looks like. Then in 8th, I would have to say, yep, that is going to be... Yes, that is actually going to be Sarah Taylor. Or can I count here? 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Actually, no, Sarah Taylor will actually be 7th. Then Carson Miller 8th. Joshua Cornish 9th. And then the 30 of Noah Shastel completes your top 10. But let's look at that little tangle there that the 41 of Ronald House had down the back straightaway here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's actually kind of impressive of how he was able to keep it straight after that contact that he had. And we're getting word that it definitely looks like the source of that contact definitely came from the 15 of Kelsey Higdon. So watch right here. This is coming off of turn number 2.
You're definitely going to see the 15 or at least the 41. Actually, no. Looks like Joshua Cornish gets into the left rear quarter panel of his own teammate of Higdon, sends him down into Ronald House. And the good news is both of these trucks are going to continue on with at least minimal damage. But that is actually very unbelievable of what we just witnessed. A similar situation to what we saw with Elijah Gordon, Haley Tullis, and also Bradley Ream as well. Remember, it was Ream, I believe, that got into the left rear quarter panel of Tullis that sent her down into Gordon, and inevitably saw that 81 get flipped over by Carter Friesen. Here's the look from the spectator view. Even then, that's just absolutely wild of how both Higdon and House were able to at least obtain the smallest amount of damage possible, and they're still able to race. So that's the contrast of the first and second cautions. Of course, you know, in the first caution, we saw 2 retirees from the 2 out of the 3 drivers that were involved in that first caution. And now in this one, it was the same 2 drivers, and they get to keep racing. So, ladies and gentlemen, the complexion of this race has changed dramatically here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the timing of this caution could not have been any more interesting. When we restart this race, chances are we're going to be restarting with 10 laps to go. Now, we want to refresh everybody on the rules here. We are using the old 2003 rules. So basically the rules package that was pretty much built into the game, where lead lap cars will line up on the outside, lap cars 1 lap down or more will line up on the inside. However, when we get inside of 10 laps to go, it is a single file restart. Again, single file restarts only go into effect when we reach the close to that point of the race. The only way for that rule to not go into effect is if we get 1 to go right here, right now. So we're going to keep our eyes here on the pace truck to see if that is going to be the case. Survey says lights are out on the pace truck now, so we will, looks like we will be avoiding. Actually, wait just a minute. I think, do we see? No. So we are still, I think, even if we do reach that point, we're still going to have a single file restart, ladies and gentlemen. That's actually kind of interesting because we're at 11 to go. I thought the rule would have been going into effect with 10 to go. But that's not the case here for this race. Very, very interesting. Let's go ahead and review your top 10 as we get ready to restart with 11 laps to go. Coming to 10, it is Jesse Turner who leads the way. Chris Reynolds in second. Emmanuel Hartnett in third. In fourth is the 02 of Eli Bright. Shauna Martin completes your top 5. Max Anderson is in sixth. In seventh is Sarah Taylor. Running in eighth is the 71 of Carson Miller. In ninth is the 17 of Joshua Cornish, and Noah Shastow completes your top 10. It may be Elijah Gordon out front, but remember, he is off the pace and is a lap down, but he will be leading the field back to the green flag. Your official race leader is the 2 of Jesse Turner. Here we go, 10 laps to go. And it looks like Gordon tried to get a jump on the restart because we know that he is not up to speed with everybody else. So, of course, he's going to try to use whatever tools he needs in order to try to get a good jump on the restarts. That way he can not hold up the rest of the field, but everybody is going to get around Liam Davis here in a hurry. But now Jesse Turner goes out front. Hartnett, or at least Eli Bright in second. Hartnett definitely is now trapped in the middle of this group. Carson Miller jumps up to fourth. Bright to second. In third is Max Anderson. Double file as they go through turns 3 and 4. Look at the 99 of Carson Green trying to make something happen as he's peeking the nose to the inside of the 30. Not going to be able to make anything happen down the front straightaway. But how about this? Eli Bright in the 0-2. Closing in on the back bumper of the 2 machine of Jesse Turner. Heading down the back straightaway. Looks like Anderson going to go up to the high side. Not the best decision there. That's going to allow Carson Miller to take advantage of that mistake. He goes to the inside. He's going to be fighting for that third position with 7 laps to go. Emmanuel Hartnett quickly recovers. He's now back in 11th behind Cornish. So he's not too far off from this thing. Top 2 now start to pull away just by a little bit more. 6 laps to go. 3 wide behind them. Cornish in the middle. Hartnett on the bottom. And now they get that settled back down. But then more 3 wide breaks out here. Look at the 26. Chris Reynolds in the middle. Chastow backs out of that 3 wide situation. As up front. Challenge for the lead is on. Eli Bright sneaking on the back bumper of Jesse Turner. 5 laps to go. And now here he comes. Bright to the inside of Jesse Turner for the race lead. And he's going to easily take it coming off of turn number 2. So move Eli Bright to the top position. And this is the first time that we've seen this 0-2 out front all night long. We have not really talked a lot about Eli Bright a whole lot in this race. And now here he is, leading the charge with 4 laps to go. Can he hold on to it for these final 4 laps? Carson Green's pretty strong here late in the going. He's now up to 3rd. Emmanuel Hartnett in that 7 is now starting to recover. He's back in the top 10. But he is running out of time. Coming to 3 to go, this time by. Bradley Ream jumps to pit road, no problem whatsoever. Miller now finds a way down to the inside of Max Anderson. This is the fight for 4th. Look at Emmanuel Hartnett get into the inside of Cornish. Now he might try to make a move underneath of the 38 of Max Anderson. Oh, wait, the field's going up high. And Eli Bright is going to pit road. Bright is going to pit road, as is the 52 of Alex Richards. 2 laps to go. Turner goes back out front. Carson Green, rather, right there in that 2nd position. He's all over the back bumper of the 2. Carson Miller, however, on the other hand, he's in 3rd, and he's got a shot to try to win this thing as they come through turns 3 and 4. This time by. The white flag is waving. 1 lap to go from Charlotte. Turner leads it. Will he be leading coming back to the checkered flag? Let's find out. Doing a very nice job there as he's covering the bottom, heading off of 2 down the back straightaway one more time. Carson Green all over the back bumper of the 99 or of the 2, but I think the deal has been sealed. The field comes off of turn number 4. Jesse Turner finally is a Menard Truck Series winner from here at Charlotte. He gets it done in the Rowdy Nation 200. Finishing in 2nd is Carson Green. His teammate of Chase McClure comes home in 4th. In 3rd, rather. Then in 4th is actually Max Anderson. Carson Miller rounds out your top 5. Then in 6th is Emmanuel Hartnett. Finishing in 7th, well, that would be the 71, or the 17 rather, of Cornish, and it looks like Reynolds just gets turned around there on the cool down lap, but it doesn't matter. The race is over. Unfortunately, he did not finish in the top 10, but the rest of it looks like this. Ronald House, Noah Chastow, and Sarah Taylor. That is your top 10. Take a look at positions 11th all the way down to 27th. They all finished on the lead lap. The drivers that finished one lap down or more, of course, they include Foster Henderson, Eli Bright, Alex Richards, Bradley Ream, Mercedes Davis, Elijah Gordon, and Liam Davis. And then our only 2 retirees were both Haley Tolis and Carter Friesen. So that is how your 36 truck field looks after the Rowdy Nation 200, our first of 2 races here for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And coming up next will be your WRLA Xfinity Series events from here, well, at least at the Texas World Speedway. But what a race. What an event. What an event. The Rowdy Nation 200. Big congratulations to Jesse Turner on finally getting a win here in WRLA competition. And it comes here in the Menard Truck Series at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And if you are in the Discord, keep an eye on your point standings after this premiere concludes. But if you're watching this live on Twitch, if you like what you see, be sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss a future stream. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you like what you see, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to consider subscribing in order to keep up with all the WRLA content being posted all throughout the 2026 season. And coming up for very soon in the WRLA Discord will be your point standings after tonight's race from here at Charlotte. One more time, congratulations to Jesse Turner on getting the job done from here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And coming up very, very soon will be the WRLA Xfinity Series from the Texas World Speedway. And if you're watching this live on Twitch, stick around because we'll be getting that stuff ready to go. But in the meantime, I'm Elijah Leonard signing off. Congratulations to Jesse Turner on winning the 5th race of the season. And we'll see you all for the WRLA Xfinity Series at Texas World.
This WRLA telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or reused without any authorized written consent of 11 Broadcasting. WRLA would like to thank all of our loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.